"Ma'am, your disrespect for the rules of this court shows a lack of discipline," Judge Marcus Thorne said, his voice echoing across the courtroom. He looked down at Allison Kelly from his bench, glasses perched on his nose. "It shows cowardice. A refusal to face the consequences of your actions." Allison stood still at the defendant's table. Her long blonde hair was tied back neatly, and her plain red top stood out against the wooden panels of the courtroom. She didn't fidget or argue. Her hands rested calmly on the table. She listened carefully, processing his words. The judge, used to seeing people get nervous, mistook her calmness for arrogance. He saw a young woman ignoring authority. The charge was simple: unpaid parking tickets. But to him, it seemed like a bigger problem. "In my day," said, leaning into the microphone, "we understood responsibility. Every action has a consequence. You stand there silently, as if the law doesn't apply to you." "Is that what you think, Miss Kelly?" "No, Your Honor," Allison said, her voice calm but clear. "Then explain yourself. Why should this court be lenient when you ignore your duties?" "I've been traveling, Your Honor." "There was a mail mix-up," she replied simply. The judge scoffed. "Traveling, I see. But the world doesn't wait for your leisure, Miss Kelly. Responsibility is a full-time job." He tried to shake her, looking for fear, a weakness, anything to exploit. But Allison was calm like solid stone. It frustrated him. "I need a character reference," he finally said. "Someone who can prove you are not the cowardly person you seem to be." Allison's eyes did not leave him. For the first time, a flicker of memory passed through her mind. Not fear, but recollection. The word cowardice reminded her of moments far more dangerous than a courtroom. She remembered the roar of helicopter blades, the weight of armor, the grit of sand, and the heat of battle in a valley where hesitation could mean death. Shrapnel had grazed her, but she had survived and completed her mission. Compared to that, the judge's words were nothing. In the back row, retired Sergeant Frank Miller noticed her calm. He had seen soldiers under pressure, and he knew this young woman was no ordinary civilian. He understood her strength. The judge demanded a witness. Allison's calm never wavered. "Your Honor, you don't know me, or what I've done," she said. "Then enlighten me. Who are you?" "I served," she said simply. "I was a combat rescue officer with the 24th Special Tactics Squadron." A ripple went through the courtroom. The back row stiffened. That was one of the most elite units in the Air Force. The judge laughed dismissively. "Public affairs. Supply clerk. That doesn't make you a hero." Frank Miller didn't wait. He quietly left the courtroom and called Colonel David Evans. He explained the situation. A veteran, highly decorated, being treated unfairly over parking tickets. Colonel Evans listened. Then his voice became sharp, commanding, "Stay where you are. I'm coming." Back in the courtroom, Judge Thorne continued his lecture, thinking he was in control. "I find you in contempt," he said. "You will spend 48 hours in jail to learn respect." At that moment, the courtroom doors opened. 4 Air Force officers walked in, led by Colonel Evans. They moved with precision, their dress uniforms immaculate. Colonel Evans stopped in front of Allison. "Captain Kelly," he said, saluting her. "We came as soon as we could." Allison returned the salute, a small nod of acknowledgement. Then Colonel Evans turned to the judge, his eyes cold. "You are wrong. This woman is a hero. You have disrespected her. She is Captain Allison Kelly, call sign Valkyrie 1. She has saved lives under fire, been wounded, and refused to leave her team behind. And you called her a coward?" The courtroom fell silent. The judge was stunned. The truth of her service was undeniable. Her medals, decorations, and missions spoke louder than any words. Allison then spoke to the room. "Standards are meant to be high. They must be applied fairly to everyone. That is all we ask." Her calm words taught the room a lesson in fairness and respect. The contempt charge was dropped immediately. The parking tickets were paid by the command chief. Colonel Evans escorted Captain Kelly from the courtroom, officers following behind. Judge Thorne was left alone, humbled. Weeks later, Allison sat quietly at a VFW post. The judge approached her, hat in hand. Captain Kelly, he said softly. I apologize. I was wrong. Allison nodded. We all have blind spots, Judge. What matters is what we do after we see them. The battle was over. The standard had been upheld. Justice and respect had been restored.